Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Fudce playing World End Economica. And there's the face we haven't seen in a while, well, unless you watched last episode, which I hope you have done. Oh, how have you been? That gloomy mug showed up on your side of a monitor. I can see the moon clearly tonight from my room. Unfortunately, I can't see the lunar capital. Tillman disappeared from a monitor a few moments and was back. He might have opened his room's curtain. Sorry for calling late. Oh, sorry, that's new. He laughed happily. When I first saw Toyama, I intimidated him and twisted his arm. He had a query and a few years back on me. But thereafter, I would look down on him. I regret that a bit now. He certainly was rather sullen, but I didn't think he was I actually thought he was a pretty cool adult. Well, I remember that happening. So, what is it? Thinking of becoming a moneylender? No, it's something I'd like to ask about. Banking. He used to work at a bank back on Terra before becoming a moneylender on the moon. There was a bit of a lag, so I could see a surprised expression in his face. Thinking of investing in banks on Terra? I'd like to ask about what investment banking involves. After a brief lag on that low frame rate screen, Toyama appeared surprised. This transmission was to Terra, so it'd be a bit of an unavoidable lag. Risa and Chris were next to me, however, giving a collective question mark as they listened to me speak. Investment banking. I was in commercial banking, you see. Not sure I could teach you, but I know quite a bit about it. I'd like to know about an analyst's duties. I could sense Chris and Risa behind me looking at each other. Analysts are rather popular there. Show up on TV every so often here too. Do you know about it? Well, a gist, but what would you like to ask about? What do they do? Honestly, I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to ask either. With things being the state they are, Toyama took up a pensive expression, replying as soon as he came up with an answer. What he blurted out next time was intense. Frankly, they're slaves. Slaves? Yeah, brokerages on the selling side. Our term suggests they sell things like bonds and security. An analyst's job is to do company analysis reports and sell those bonds and securities. From dawn to dusk, they're locked in windowless rooms doing those company analysis reports, making these reports that nobody will see or read, day in and day out. It was a bit different from what I knew them as. Do they do company ratings? That's if they're raised up from being a slave to being a commoner. Ratings generally are what investment banks give to clients. If you get that sort of stuff in the mail, you don't read it, right? He chuckled as he said that to me. But I nodded in agreement. When you're talking about an analyst skilled enough for people to pay attention to, more or less they write reports saying certain stocks will make money because of this thing or that thing. Using that, or brokers or a bank work around reports and call up clients, sort of like, yeah, our analyst picked up a good stock and well, that type of thing. What about an incredibly good analyst? An incredibly good analyst, that's the same as a red herring. Huh? You'd think they'd exist, but they don't. But skilled analysts become traders. That's because they know what the good brands are. They take their own reports selling stock results to clients, becoming star businessmen. If not, they transfer over to consulting firms. Normally one does not stay an analyst for long. Why is that? If you don't make money investing in banking, you won't become important. It's simple logic. Right, what ranks in that sector has neither fairness nor understanding. Neither logical or soundness, nor a decree by the Almighty. Money was its own justice. I think I get now what you wanted to hear. You wanted to ask whether those popular analysts that show up on TV, right? Yes. Those are exceptional cases that have come out only recently. I don't think their job description has changed though. They are still just manure for investment banks to grow food. The reason they're showing up on TV is because their fame makes it easier for brokers to sell to clients. Did you see the markets watched last Sunday about that stock our popular famous analyst, what's his name, recommended? Like that. Or maybe, you know what has been putting those new stocks listings, right? Yeah, I want to know that part. Like I said, analysts write reports from investment banks to sell something. They then collect a ridiculously large handling fee from an investment bank to list a stock. In exchange, they seek to be able to safely sell that stock. Analysts desperately write good reports for that to happen. They are praised for their profit reciprocity, honestly. Actually, there should be rules about whatever bank has its new stock listing is required to send out reports to the corporation about every month or so. Where in truth it's not law but self-imposed regulation by a trade association. Profit? Yeah, obvious, isn't it? All our bank is doing is collecting handling fees, so if they have enough motive to the life of a thief, buying stocks is all an individual's responsibility as well. So even if the price falls after that, it's none of their concern. Refusing to assist them because they are a typical fraudulent corporation. Just an example. Huh? Let's say there's a company that commissions an investment bank to list their stock because they all want a popular analyst seal of approval. Ah, that's possible. But popular analyst refuses the job because what the corporation handles is terrible. What would happen? If they could, then it would probably feel wonderful. He said that happily. It's everything is telling off one boss who's just pushed our hard work onto you. It'll feel great on the spot, but imagine what will happen the next day. I said so earlier, didn't I? Those who work to make money are just. You don't even need to think about what's going to happen to those who aren't making money, but essentially you're throwing it away. Famous analysts are displayed pretty brilliantly. It's undoubtedly brutal internally. Lots of buyouts and new list presentations happening, right? It's an industry with hundreds of millions, if not billions, of mules in circulation. Large sums can measure up to tens of billions of mules. Investment banks want that type of jobs to collect their handling fee. It's like investment banks are creating a popular analyst so they can be famous and actually move the stock prices for clients. Like, use our analyst, they can do it on a whim. A rush of honour spread over me. I got a feeling this wasn't all that different from human trafficking. It's an awful industry. Honestly, it's like they boiled down the lunar surface to its primal elements. Having fled from the outer district of terror, Toyama averted his eyes and spoke. In truth, commercial banking might look languid in comparison to investment banking. Toyama said that money lending was an correspondence of money, but a correspondence of trust. With investment banking, someone is always fooling someone else. Corporations fall analysts so they can increase stock worth, analysts fall brokers so they can have high ratings and get out of slavery, and brokers fall clients because they can make their commission selling stocks. When everyone falls a consumer? Don't approve? Toyama appeared through his screen as he spoke. Consumers are fooling themselves. It ends up being the consumers looking at those strange corporations and buying their stocks. I won't try to dissuade you. I understand you want to become one of those elegant popular analysts, but... Oh no, that's not it. Oh, is that so? Well, you're thinking about entering the financial sector. Running a small bank has its difficulties, but it's rather enjoyable. You know clients for dozens of years. A bank can easily go under if a broker, the borrower skips down, so naturally relationship stays friendly. It's fun doing something with someone else. Toyama said that and appeared to look up from a distance. Then he gave a small yawn. I remember it was actually already night time over there. Sorry for putting you in a long call so late. I actually wonder what time zone the moon's on. I mean, it has to have time zones, of course, but I wonder which time it follows. Oh, Matt, nah. But you know, it does feel really strange, you being so worried about me. Toyama laughed as he said that. I recall that I had pressure Toyama had spoken brazenly at him. I could only really hang my head in shame. It's been a while, but it's been nice talking to you, so could you put Risa on for a bit? Sure, thanks. Not at all. Toyama wavered got from a chair, motioned to Risa, who was in the corner of the room. There hadn't been any sort of wall between her and her conversation. Risa looked a bit perplexed, but sat on a chair and began speaking to Toyama. I left the room, giving a small sigh. Chris came out after all said and done. Were you talking about Eleanor? Yeah. I gave that short answer, went over to a conversation with Toyama in mind. Brutal world. Large sums in circulation. No way that couldn't be true. When I heard that Eleanor rejected a trade proposal, all I could think of was just how hard a job was. Was that a reality of a situation? Did she cause tension with others around her? Ridiculous. It was $1 billion more worth of tension. It pained my heart with how overjoyed Eleanor was over apple pie. Even though I felt like an idiot, handing it over wrapped in cloth in the middle of a fancy restaurant, she didn't appear bothered at all. So overjoyed, like a child stealing a glance into a Christmas present. Eleanor was being overwhelmed by the sheer amount of work. On top of that, her convictions were being tested. Because of Eleanor's position, her employer made her give bad companies good reviews. But what transpired to sell Eleanor's company under? Wasn't it just that kind of report that did it? If that's true, it's certainly against Eleanor's sense of righteousness to give good ratings to fraudulent companies, taking part in stuffing shit down the throat of the people to collect their cut. And Eleanor had really rejected it. But I was terribly mistaken to what that decision would bring about. With her being so popular, I was sure she was still treated like a god in her own company as well. Eleanor's life body, the medicine on her desk, the amount of work and all that pressure. I recall the terrible state of that room of hers. Haru? Yeah, just gonna send an email. Not able to stay still, I returned to my room and pulled up my tablet. But when I set out to write that email, I paused. Even if I felt I wanted to help Eleanor, I had no idea what I could do. All I was capable of doing was looking up stuff about Avalon. But I wasn't a corporate analytics specialist. I wasn't even a financial specialist. I was just good at guessing what stock prices would go up or down. It was always like this for me. Even if I could understand the superficial, I could only give superficial assistance. But the moment I began to care for someone, I realised just how powerful I was. I thought I was the closest to her garden in this entire world, but it turns out I didn't even know her real name. Even still, I wrote the email. Menial tasks, cleaning the room, anything would be fine for it to help her. A very irritating thought came to mind. Was I confusing Eleanor for Kana? It was a hard prospect to get out of my head. I didn't want to see anyone else I knew miserable. I didn't want her to have regrets thinking about she could have done this way or that way. I ignored my stiffening right hand and typed with my left. I never stopped to think. It might just be my imagination, or I might just be bothering her. It was fine as it was, and it would have ended there. I was just about to send an email asking if anyone I could do with. It was that moment the door suddenly swung open. Haru! I thought my heart was going to leap from my chest when Chris burst into my room, creating a tablet in her hands and placed it down on top of my desk. There was a TV screen of newsflash on there with panic at Avalon HQ, but in sprawling handwriting. On TV just now. Chris pointed to the screen. There were a certain amount of people gathered and each proclaiming something. When I saw a picture of a brief moment, I wasn't sure where it was supposed to be. It said in front of the Avalon headquarters and there was an iconic building far off in the background. But all those people there were dressed in heavy clothes, I could see their breaths. There was so much night market movement, I can't liquidate my assets. Chris trailed off and looked at me. When I looked at Chris's tablet, I could see her losses blaring red. She couldn't liquidate because she couldn't initiate the program without being at Eleanor's office. Calm down, what happened? What's the meaning of this? She was likely panicking because her experience the first posted losses and most sporadic market movement. When I turned on my TV, there was a press conference with Emerald Industries on. But more importantly, Emerald Industries? I had thought then they were attempting a hostile takeover. If that was it, why was it widespread sell orders on other stocks? It must have announced something that was reverberating through society. Following my usual course of action, I set my investment tool and checked the news. My screen was filled with the words "Newsflash." I opened one of them and gasped. "7 PM today, Emerald Industries." announces starting changes to its city dome climate controls contracted by the lunar government, tentatively expected to lower dome temperature by 10 degrees. 10 degrees? Really, 10 degrees? It's already dropping below freezing in the areas near the air controls. They're saying it's going to get really cold around here too. Turning a blind eye to Chris as she worriedly watched over intense movements of the market, I opened a different article. In response to a sudden spike in energy costs, they are seeking to revise their contract with the government. A provisional employee of the Emerald Industries, subsection 2 Article 3, of stipulating a right to protect their assets in accordance with the corporate contract, they announced a reduction of dome temperature by 10 degrees. Emerald Industries believe that they will then be able to cover their losses incurred to the cost of maintaining the dome, which exceedingly funded supply contracted by the government. Emerald Industries is up 5% from a night exchange yesterday. Experts have a large proportion of the blame on the Avalon exchange for a sudden spike in energy costs. When I looked back on news on a tablet, the camera began shooting to the scenes. Seems to be a conference room with dozens of microphones in place and numerous chairs in the shot. Seems the CEO of Avalon, Kevin Leaf, was about to hold a press conference. Having taken possession of electric stocks, they couldn't avoid suspicions they were driving up energy costs on the lunar surface. It seemed it would be a bit longer before the interview, but Vickley back over to a scrolling ticker summarising the energy crisis on the moon. In the corner of the screen, we were displaying a promotion in front of the headquarters. How are Avalon stocks doing? Chris looked at one I asked, splitting the terminal screen up to display Avalon stock window. I stared at each other as part she was paying. Avalon was up 13%. Meaning, according to the newsflash, that Emerald Industries' announcement had led people to believe there may be an energy crisis on the moon, and that electricity futures on the energy market had raised dramatically. When I looked up companies dealing with energy in my tablet, producers, transmitters and sellers had all had their prices increased. Amongst others, being strung up higher were solar panel manufacturers, the companies, and major semiconductor companies. Other companies, particularly manufacturers based on the lunar surface, were comparatively down. Operation costs were expected to spike, so transport bonds were all but decimated. It was a massacre. I gazed over, but as I confused one part of the estate of the market, it wasn't that I was seeing widespread losses in stocks that would render the program I worked on with Chris useless. Emerald Industries expects to lower the dome temperature by 10 degrees, expecting the energy situation will become worse later on, so prices are increasing. I gulped. That's ridiculous. All Emerald Industries, the biggest consumer, were saying that they were going to convert to their energy. Why would that cause price increases? When Emerald Industries announced about lowering the temperature, it was because the price energy had increased, and not because they expected the price to increase from here on out. Had we estimated the amount of individual consumer energy consumption would increase, and so lowering the dome temperature heads and prices going up? That made sense. Yet to me that looked like a terribly distorted image. I couldn't see any rationality here. The prices looked like they were moving completely based on emotion. At that moment, the TV screen and tablet switched back over. It was back in the conference room. And we'll see that next episode. Bye bye.